versus Justin Fields. Is this a problem that afflicts any other fan base, or is this disease just native to ignorant Georgia fans? I guess maybe it's possible that this is something that plagues other fan bases too, and maybe I'm just not as aware of it since I am a Georgia fan, so I spend a lot of time in these stupid-ass Georgia Bulldogs Facebook groups or, Georgia threads on Twitter or whatever, where I have to see this stupid shit all the time, and maybe it actually does happen with players from other teams and fans from other teams and stuff like that. I don't know. I'll deal with these mouth breathers in 2.5 weeks. But the whole Justin Fields thing with Georgia has become like it's almost become like a caricature of itself. Like, it was always going to be an interesting story when Justin Fields left and went to Ohio State. There was always going to be like a certain amount of interest there from Georgia fans, and I think just college football fans in general. What was going to happen with Justin Fields? How was it going to go at Ohio State versus what Fromm was or wasn't going to do at Georgia? I think there was always going to be a little bit of interest there just for obvious reasons. I mean, look, Justin Fields was the highest rated player Georgia has ever signed, period. When he got to Ohio State, he immediately became the highest rated player to ever play for Ohio State. So the point is, this guy was considered a once-in-a-generation type talent. Now, there was a lot of curiosity. Okay, forget the reasons why he's not at Georgia anymore. He's at Ohio State. How's this going to play out? How is this going to look 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? This is what people were thinking when he transferred, right? Then we had the offseason, and the offseason comes around. About 40, I'll say somewhere between 40 and 50% of the Georgia fan base. I do think it's less than half of the Georgia fan base that falls into this ignorant-ass category. But about 40 to 45% of the Georgia fan base, all offseason, all we heard was negative about Justin Fields. They talked about Justin Fields constantly. He's terrible. He can't read defenses. He's not smart. That code word. He's going to fall on his face at Ohio State. He's going to be terrible. Couldn't beat out Jake Fromm. On and on, all offseason. Then about 2 weeks before the season started, you have this fake headline that starts making the rounds. And this is an account on Twitter that puts these things out all the time. And you guys have probably seen tweets from this account if you spend any time on Twitter or even Facebook, because a lot of times these things will get screenshotted from Twitter and posted around on Facebook. But basically, it claims to be a parody account. All it is really is a fake news account. The guy basically takes, he'll make a tweet that appears to be an official quote from someone, a coach, a sports page somewhere, whatever. A lot of times he'll attribute it to Bleacher Report or Saturday Down South or whatever. You've seen these things, like it'll be a fake quote from some head football coach, and you read it and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe a coach would actually say that. Well, no, they didn't say it. This Twitter page just constantly puts this fake stuff out. Anyway, they put one out about 2 weeks before the season started. Justin Fields not going to be starter for Ohio State. These 40 to 45% of Georgia fans who had been talking about Justin Fields nonstop, remind you, all offseason, went absolutely nuts. They were so happy. They were so excited, laughing. See, we told you, he's not any good. He can't even beat out some nobody at Ohio State, blah, blah, blah. Now, we all knew that this was just BS. Anybody with any sense knew Justin Fields was going to be the starter at Ohio State the day he announced he was transferring there. And anybody that doesn't know that is just an idiot. But 40 to 45% of you, good morning too. So anyway, then of course week 1 comes around and shocker, Justin Fields gets to start, right? And the roller coaster ride begins. He starts off really, really good this year. Bunch of touchdowns, bunch of yards, completing 80% of his passes, no turnovers. What happens to those 40 or 45% of Georgia fans who spent all offseason saying how terrible he was going to be? What did they do? Well, mostly they disappear. At least when it comes to talking about Justin Fields. All of a sudden, they don't want to hear anything about Justin Fields. He's not with Georgia anymore. Stop talking about players who aren't on Georgia anymore. Let it go. These people are obsessed with Justin Fields. So all of a sudden, he starts doing good. Then they don't want to talk about him. Now, they spent all off season talking about how terrible he was going to be, right? First 2 or 3 games of the year, he looks pretty good. All of a sudden, they don't want you to talk about him. Now, had he come out the first 2 or 3 weeks and fell on his face, do you think those people would have had any problem talking about Justin Fields? No, but he comes out and he's lighting the world on fire the first 2 or 3 weeks. So all of a sudden, we don't care. We don't want to hear about him anymore. He's not with Georgia. Okay, so that was the first 2 or 3 weeks. Second 2 or 3 weeks of the season, the trend continues. Justin Fields is lighting it up. He's scoring 4 and 5 touchdowns a week. He's completing 80% of his passes. He's starting to show up on Heisman lists. Well, you start to hear it in. Ain't played nobody. Yep, I hate to bleed this video into the previous video, but that's exactly what you started to hear. One read QB. I hear that all the time. Oh, anybody can put up those numbers in the Big Ten. I heard that one. Anybody can do this. Wait till he plays Wisconsin. You just wait. Or it might have even been Michigan State first. Wait till he plays Michigan State. Wait till he plays a team with a real defense. Wait till he go out and beat the bejesus out of them. Oh, well, no Michigan State, no good. That didn't count. Wait till they play Wisconsin. Wisconsin comes around, beat them 38-7. He has another 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Well, Wisconsin was overrated. That don't count. He's no good. He's this, he's that. He can't read it. Anybody can put up those numbers. Now here we are, week 10, 11, 12. The guy is second on every single Heisman list. I mean, it's Joe Burrow and Justin Fields. No one else even matters for the Heisman at this point. And the same 40 to 45% of Georgia fans still on that train with Justin Fields. But what do they say now, though? They got a new one they're saying now. I don't know if you've heard or not. The new one now is Justin Fields' numbers pale in comparison to Dwayne Haskins from last year. Dwayne Haskins broke every single Big Ten record known to man last year. So now they're trying to convince you now that because he doesn't have the yardage that Dwayne Haskins had last year, they were right. He's terrible because he doesn't have Dwayne Haskins' yardage. Jesus Christ. This would be like saying DeAndre Swift is no good because he's going to end his career with less yards rushing than Herschel Walker. Therefore, DeAndre Swift is no good. Like you're only comparing him to the greatest to ever do it at that school. Well, if he doesn't have as many yards as Dwayne Haskins, he's a disaster. People are idiots. Now all of a sudden, here's the other thing. The Big Ten is no good, right? Big Ten's terrible. That's the only reason Justin Fields is putting up these numbers. The Big Ten is horrible, horrific. Literally anybody could put up those numbers in the Big Ten. They spend all season saying that. Now what do they say, though? Oh, yep, Justin Fields' train coming to a screeching halt now. Got to play Penn State and then Michigan in back-to-back weeks. No way he performs well against those two teams. Why? If the Big Ten is terrible like you keep telling everybody and it's not any good, then shouldn't he light it up against those two nobody teams just like he did the rest of the nobodies in the Big Ten? I'm just asking. Now, obviously, Big Ten and Penn State and Michigan aren't nobody teams. They're pretty good teams. But there's about 5 or 6 other pretty good teams in the Big Ten, too. So the whole thing just makes no sense. And here's the thing. And this sort of gets back to the beginning of the video. Are there other fan bases that act this way? And I'm going to take Alabama as an example. I'm willing to bet that there's not too many Alabama fans who are crying into their Fruit Loops about Jalen Hurts. Now, Tua's injury notwithstanding, that changes it a little. Obviously, it would be great for Alabama right now if they still had Jalen Hurts. So that's not an apples-to-apples comparison now that Tua has gone down. But pre-Tua's injury, do you think Alabama fans were hating on Jalen Hurts? No. They wished him the best. Most Alabama fans that I know, in fact, I'm willing to bet about 90 to 95% plus of Alabama fans wished Jalen Hurts goes 14-1 this year, with his only loss being in the national title game to Alabama or something, right? Like, they had no ill will towards Jalen Hurts at all. None. Why? They had a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback of their own in Alabama. That's why. And therein lies the real answer to the question, why are 40 to 45% of Georgia fans so bent out of shape about Justin Fields? Why do they feel the need to constantly put him down and belittle him? Why do they feel the need to embarrass themselves nonstop by pretending like his numbers are meaningless, or that what he's doing this year in the Big Ten is somehow average, or even below average, or that, like, oh, if he was in the SEC, he wouldn't be doing that. Jake Fromm's been in the SEC for 3 years. He's never had more than 30 touchdowns in a season. Fields currently has 41. And I'm not knocking Fromm. Fromm is what he is on a team that runs an offense that we run. That just sort of is what it is. This isn't a Fromm versus Fields thing. This is an idiot Georgia fan versus Fields thing. But it is funny, the perception, what was it the last, I'm getting confused now on Topical Tuesday. Which video was it where I talked about people not being college football fans, they're just fans of a certain team, that's it, and then outside of that, they know absolutely nothing? I hear this from Georgia fans all the time. The only reason Justin Fields has that many touchdowns and does that well throwing the ball is because Ohio State's just a throwing team. That's just what they do. They just spread it out and just throw it all day long. We're a running team. What if I told you that Ohio State is out-rushing Georgia this year? What if I told you that J.K. Dobbins is maybe not as good as DeAndre Swift, but he's one of the best 5 or 6 running backs in America? So the point is, no, Ohio State's not a throwing team that just throws the ball around, and that's why Justin Fields. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. And I guess mainly the whole point of this video, there's 2 points to this video. Number one, I'm curious from the other fan bases that might watch this video, has there ever been a situation at your team's school similar to the Fromm and Fields thing where someone transfers and everyone hates him, or half the fan base hates him and just wants him to fail? Like, it's just the weirdest thing to me. And so I'm just curious if there's any other fan bases that know, has that ever happened at your school? That's the first point. And the second point is just, why is it so hard to just admit that some other player at some other school might be good? And I think I know the answer to that. I think it just gets back to people being not college football fans, just fans of a certain school or team. I love the Georgia Bulldogs. I wish they'd go 15-0 every year, but I love watching Jerry Jeudy play football. I'm sorry, and I get called a fake fan, believe me. There's not a person on earth who gets called a fake fan more than Uncle Lou. Hundreds of times a day, whether it's in the comments section here or somewhere on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, I get called a fake fan all the time. I like watching Jerry Jeudy play football. The man is amazing to watch. I liked watching Tua play. I like watching Jonathan Taylor run the ball. I like watching Chase Young play defensive end. I like watching Justin Fields play quarterback. Who's the guy last year for Houston? That defensive lineman for Houston. I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Jesus. Top 5 or 6 pick in the NFL draft last year, and I'm drawing a complete blank on his name now. I loved watching him play. I love watching Clemson's wide receivers, T. Higgins and Justin Ross. I like watching them. Play. Why is it that there's certain fans who is just, everybody that's and the same. It's weird too, because it's the same 40 to 45% of Georgia fans who are butthurt about Justin Fields. They also think that every player Georgia has is the greatest to ever play that position in the history of history. It's like with Chase Young. I would talk about Chase Young. Nolan Smith and Eliza Jaza. Yeah, I love Nolan Smith and Eliza Bazabazayaja. I love those guys, and Adam Anderson and Jermaine Johnson and all. I love all the Georgia players. None of them are Chase Young. I don't understand why that makes me a fake fan. Like, Chase Young is he's just on a different level. I don't understand why. Anyway, I'm sort of getting way off topic now. Oh, live show tonight at 10. It's supposed to be a Barner. A Barner lost a bet with me. He's got to call into the live show and sing the Georgia fight song. Anyway, have a good morning.